Hey guys, it's Karen again, and if I sound kind of confused right now, that's because I just watched the new episode of Once Upon a Time, Season 3, Episode 4, Nasty Habits. I really like this episode, guys. The ending was very strange, and we're going to get to that, but overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought everything was really great in this episode. The characters, there was so much development, especially from Baelfire and Rumpelstiltskin. Oh my god, I was crying with that. I mean, I was about to cry with that. It was so heartbreaking with them, and I really love their storyline. So, let's basically talk about, Baelfire and Rumpelstiltskin first, because that was the main plot. We see that Baelfire is a prisoner of Felix, who's, one of the Lost Boys, and he somehow manages to free himself from the bindings and escapes after knocking Felix out. Around the same time, in another location, Rumpelstiltskin continues to work his magic when the image of Belle appears to him again. And he sees Belle again, and I don't really know why he keeps seeing Belle. But basically, this time it's to warn him that if he is planning to save Henry, it will mean his death. But Rumpelstiltskin says things are different now and that he has nothing to live for, saying that the only way he can redeem himself to his dead son is by saving his grandson. Basically, he thinks that Baelfire is dead. And hours later, Rumpelstiltskin goes through the woods and knocks out two Lost Boys with magic, then picks up their weapons and almost attacks the person racing through the jungle behind him, only to discover that the person he tried to attack was Baelfire. At first, he thinks Baelfire is, just another, hallucination that he's having, with Belle. And he's kind of like, get away from me. I know you're just a hallucination or whatever. But he's trying to tell him, oh no, I'm real. And they have their short reunion. And Rumpelstiltskin tells, Baelfire that he doesn't think anyone else has this stomach for what must be done. And, Baelfire tells him that there is another way. So they go to the beach and, Baelfire picks up a shell, blowing into it, and it summons forth a giant squad. And then Baelfire then takes his spear and throws it, reeling in the poison beast. Baelfire explains that ink from the squid can immobilize magical creatures. So that's basically what was going on here. Basically here we see that there's definitely some tension going on here. So then we see in the flashback that Rumpelstiltskin comes home with a gift, which is a knife for Baelfire. However, Baelfire does not want the gift. He wants to leave, go out, and have friends. However, Rumpelstiltskin insists he cannot leave their house for his own safety, since he is now the anointed Dark One. And before he roams off, Rumpelstiltskin comes home and discovers Baelfire missing. He tracks him to a village, and basically he lured out of their beds by a Pied Piper in the night. This gives Rumpelstiltskin a plan to comfort the individual as he waits in the night until he hears the Piper's call, and moments later witness children climbing out windows and follow the music. Rumpelstiltskin then discovers a location and sees the children masked in costume dancing wildly under a fire. He then tries to find Baelfire amongst the children, then confronts the Pied Piper, who is actually Peter Pan. So Peter Pan is actually the Pied Piper. So you guys know the story of the Pied Piper? That was not the Pied Piper, that was Peter Pan. And I love the way they can do twists in the show. It's so cool. Basically, he's known Rumpelstiltskin in the past, saying it has been a long time. That explains that only boys who feel unloved can hear his pipe, which is why Rumpelstiltskin can hear him, because we find out that Rumpelstiltskin feels unloved. And Pan says that he can ask Baelfire if he wants to go with him or stay with his father. But Rumpelstiltskin finds Baelfire and uses magic to take Baelfire back to their home. And Rumpelstiltskin tries to explain that Pan wanted to hurt him, as Rumpelstiltskin has known Pan since he was a boy and that he betrayed him. Baelfire reveals Pan told him about the deal, that if he had been asked to go home, he would have, however his father didn't ask. And this was a very powerful scene here. We saw Baelfire really upset here, and the kid actor who plays Baelfire, he's really good. Basically he's saying how, he would have gone home, but he didn't, and his father, he did not ask him, basically. That's basically what's going on here. Pan told him at the deal that if he had been asked to go home, he would have, but his father didn't, and it's really sad that he didn't actually help him and everything. Unfortunately, it appears that the news of, Rumpelstiltskin and Baelfire's relationship reunion has reached Peter Pan's camp, where Pan notices Henry is the only one not dancing around the fire and celebrating, and thinks maybe a song will get him to dance. However, Henry can't hear anything, because he does feel loved. It's only for the unloved ones. He does feel loved, so he can't hear anything. This episode is basically about if you feel loved or not. All of a sudden, a lost boy comes back to inform Pan that Neil and Rumpelstiltskin are now together. Later on, Gold arrives at the camp while Neil sneaks up with a bow and arrow. As expected, Pan sees Neil, who shoots an arrow, which is immediately caught by Pan, but Neil uses the shaft of the arrow with the ink, and Pan is immobilized. However, Pan tells Neil about the prophecy claiming God is there to murder Henry, and Gold and Neil get away from Henry, Baelfire and Rumpelstiltskin get away from Henry, who sleeps under a spell. Baelfire demands Gold tell him about the prophecy, and he says that a boy would help God reunite with Baelfire, but he would also be Rumpelstiltskin's undoing. He admits that before he knew it was Henry's, he was planning to kill the boy, and Rumpelstiltskin asked Baelfire how to win his trust. And this is the big part of the episode where we basically find out that Baelfire demands that he wants the dagger, but Rumpelstiltskin tells Neil his shadow hid it, and he doesn't know where it is. Unfortunately, even as Rumpelstiltskin tries to explain that being with Neil, that getting his redemption would lead to a happy ending, Baelfire still doesn't believe he won't turn. Baelfire then takes his hand and puts the ink on Rumpelstiltskin's palm, immobilizing him. So he makes Rumpelstiltskin frozen, basically. So I thought that whole scene was brilliant. I thought the acting in that scene was incredible. Very, very intense scene, because this was a scene that was right after the scene where we saw them in the past. It was very, very heartbreaking to see, and it was just really, really heartbreaking. So then he picks up Henry, and he goes to reunite with his family, insisting they are safer without Rumpelstiltskin. And after Baelfire takes off, the spell that was placed on Rumpelstiltskin wears off, and looks for his son. But the imaginary Belle is back to comfort him, tells Gold that he has something to live for now, that Baelfire is alive. Knowing he has something left, he has brought back his sense of self-preservation, and when Belle asks him if habits can be broken, he sends her away. So that's basically what's going on with Rumpelstiltskin now, and the other biggest thing here is that as Baelfire tracks Emma through the woods with his sleeping Henry, he's found by Pan and the other Lost Boys. This is the biggest part of the episode. This is like the biggest part here. The biggest part. Neil says he was mated off the island when he was Baelfire, but Pan questions about how he left in the first place without permission, and Baelfire is taken prisoner by Pan. Hours later, Henry awakes at the fire, and basically before this, Pan tells him that no one can leave unless no one can leave Neverland unless Pan says you can leave. Then we get probably the weirdest part of the episode, where we see that Henry awakes at the fire and Pan tells him he fell asleep. Henry can't seem to remember that he dreamed about seeing his father, Baelfire, but he continues to believe he is still dead. Pan says Neverland used to be a place where dreams come to life and Henry can bring that magic back. Pan plays his pipe and Henry starts to dance under Pan's spell. And that's how the episode ended, basically. I thought that it was a really great plot there. And then the subplot was that Tinkerbell was helping the quintet prepare their plan of attack, but then she discovers that there is no exit plan, adding that no one will ever leave Neverland without Pan's approval. She shows him that the watch she took off Tamara's body is proof. Hook then leads his gang through the jungle, consoling David again about telling Mary Margaret that he has been poisoned, but continues to avoid telling her. Hook leads them to a secret cave which has writing on the wall that Emma immediately recognizes as Baelfire's childhood home. Hook explains that also, although there is a map and is in a code, only Baelfire can read it. This leads Emma to have to break down, saying she never stopped loving Baelfire, and this was a very big scene, and she runs into the woods. Very big scene. I really love that scene because we finally realize that they actually do really love each other, and she never stopped loving him. And the series of events is also afflicting for Mary Margaret, who is upset that she can't comfort her own daughter, because if David were to die, she wouldn't know how to survive. But David tries to tell Mary Margaret that she would have to be strong and move on, but she insists nothing will ever happen to him while she's around, which is very tragic because, as we know, David is dying. So it's very sad to see that going on, and it's just really sad to see what's going on there. So yeah, that was basically the episode. I really loved the episode. I thought there was some amazing performances in the episode. This episode's getting rave reviews. People are saying, you know, I really love the scenes with Baelfire and Rumpelstilkin. I thought those were definitely the best scenes in the episode. Let me know if you guys saw this episode. What do you think about the whole thing with Henry under Pan's spell? Do you think they'll ever be able to leave Neverland? Are they ever going to beat Pan? I don't think anyone can beat Pan at this point. Will David ever tell Mary Margaret that he's dying? And also Rumpelstilkin, what's going to happen with him now? What do you think is going to happen? And so yeah, and also with Baelfire, now they're wholly in prison. What are they going to do to him? That's it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video, which will be my review for How I Met Your Mother, or Mom, whichever one I watch first. So see you then. Bye.